In this episode, we delve into the early life and career of Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio, a rebellious and innovative painter who would go on to revolutionize the art world. Born in 1571 in Milan, Caravaggio grew up in a tumultuous era marked by war, plague, and social unrest. His early life was shaped by his family's struggles and his own fiery temperament, which would later become a hallmark of his art and personality. Caravaggio's artistic talent was evident from a young age. He began his training in Milan under the tutelage of Simone Peterzano, a painter who had studied under Titian. This early exposure to the works of Titian and other Venetian masters had a profound impact on Caravaggio's style, which would later be characterized by its dramatic use of light and shadow. In 1592, Caravaggio moved to Rome, where he became embroiled in the city's vibrant artistic scene. He was drawn to the works of the Mannerists, a group of artists who rejected the classical ideals of beauty and proportion. Caravaggio's own style, which emphasized dramatic lighting, intense emotions, and a focus on the human condition, was heavily influenced by the Mannerist movement. Caravaggio's early years in Rome were marked by struggle and poverty. He was forced to take on menial jobs to make ends meet, including working as a servant and a laborer. Despite these challenges, Caravaggio continued to paint, producing works that were both innovative and provocative. One of Caravaggio's earliest patrons was Cardinal Francesco del Monte, a wealthy and influential cleric who recognized the young artist's talent. Del Monte provided Caravaggio with financial support and introduced him to the city's elite, including the powerful Borghese family. In 1599, Caravaggio received his first major commission, a series of paintings for the Contarelli Chapel in the Church of San Luigi dei Francesi. This project marked a turning point in Caravaggio's career, as it showcased his innovative style and cemented his reputation as a rising star in the art world. The Contarelli Chapel paintings, which included The Calling of St. Matthew and The Martyrdom of St. Matthew, were revolutionary in their use of light and shadow. Caravaggio's dramatic lighting effects, which emphasized the emotional intensity of the scenes, created a sense of drama and tension that was unprecedented in Renaissance art. Caravaggio's early success was not without controversy. His innovative style and provocative behavior earned him both admiration and criticism from his contemporaries. His use of dramatic lighting and intense emotions was seen as radical and even heretical by some, who viewed his art as a challenge to traditional Renaissance values. Despite these criticisms, Caravaggio's reputation continued to grow. He became known for his rebellious spirit and his willingness to challenge the status quo. His art, which emphasized the human condition and the emotional intensity of everyday life, resonated with a generation of artists and intellectuals who were seeking to break free from the constraints of traditional Renaissance art. In this episode, we have seen the early life and career of Caravaggio, a rebellious and innovative painter who would go on to revolutionize the art world. From his early training in Milan to his early success in Rome, Caravaggio's rise to fame was marked by controversy and innovation. His dramatic use of light and shadow, his emphasis on the human condition, and his willingness to challenge traditional values would make him one of the most important artists of the Baroque era. On May 28, 1606, Caravaggio engaged in a duel with Ranuccio Tomassoni, a young nobleman from a prominent family. The duel was sparked by a dispute over a tennis match, which escalated into a violent confrontation. According to accounts, Caravaggio struck Tomassoni with his sword, wounding him in the thigh and ultimately killing him. The consequences of the duel were severe. Caravaggio was sentenced to beheading for murder, and an open bounty was decreed, enabling anyone who recognized him to carry out the sentence legally. Caravaggio's patrons, who had hitherto shielded him from the consequences of his frequent duels and brawling, were unable to protect him this time. Caravaggio was forced to flee Rome, leaving behind his patrons, friends, and the only life he had ever known. He moved south to the estates of the Colonna family, where he found temporary refuge. This marked the beginning of his exile, which would take him to Naples, Malta, and Sicily. The murder of Tomassoni had a profound impact on Caravaggio's art. His paintings began to depict severed heads, often his own, reflecting his obsession with death and mortality. This theme would continue to haunt his work, as he struggled to come to terms with the consequences of his actions. Historians have long debated the circumstances surrounding Tomassoni's death. Some theories suggest that the duel was politically motivated, with Tomassoni's family being pro-Spanish and Caravaggio being a client of the French ambassador. Others propose that the duel was a result of Caravaggio's reckless and violent behavior. which had been escalating in the years leading up to the incident. The murder of Tomasoni marked a turning point in Caravaggio's life and art. It forced him to confront the consequences of his actions and to flee Rome, leading to a period of exile that would shape his artistic style and persona. This event also cemented Caravaggio's reputation as a rebellious and provocative artist, whose life was marked by controversy and turmoil. In 1607, Caravaggio traveled to Malta, where he was inducted into the Order of the Knights of Malta. This prestigious honor was a significant milestone in his career, and he was hailed as a celebrated artist. During his time in Malta, Caravaggio completed several notable works, including The Beheading of St. John the Baptist and St. Jerome Writing. These paintings showcased his mastery of chiaroscuro and his ability to evoke powerful emotions through his art. Despite his initial success, Caravaggio's time in Malta was marked by controversy and turmoil. He became embroiled in a series of brawls and disputes, which ultimately led to his imprisonment and expulsion from the Order of the Knights of Malta. This period of his life was marked by a sense of fear and paranoia, as he became increasingly isolated and withdrawn. In 1608, Caravaggio fled Malta and arrived in Sicily, where he was welcomed by his old friend Mario Minetti. During his time in Sicily, Caravaggio completed several notable works, including The Burial of St. Lucy and The Raising of Lazarus. These paintings showcased his continued innovation and experimentation with light and shadow. Caravaggio's time in exile was marked by a significant evolution in his style. He began to use more dramatic and intense lighting, which added a sense of urgency and emotion to his paintings. His figures became more isolated and vulnerable, reflecting his own feelings of fear and paranoia. This period of his life was marked by a sense of desperation and urgency, as he struggled to come to terms with his own mortality. Caravaggio's exile had a profound impact on his art and his life. It marked a turning point in his career, as he began to experiment with new techniques and styles. His paintings from this period are characterized by a sense of intensity and emotion, which continues to captivate audiences to this day. Despite the turmoil and controversy that surrounded him, Caravaggio's art continued to evolve and flourish, leaving a lasting legacy that would inspire generations of artists to come. Caravaggio was received with open arms by the Grand Master of the Knights, Alof de Wignacourt. Wignacourt, impressed by Caravaggio's talent, commissioned him to create a painting for the Knights' Church, St. John's Co-Cathedral, in Valletta. This marked the beginning of Caravaggio's Malta interlude, a period of relative stability and productivity. Caravaggio's masterpiece, The Beheading of St. John the Baptist, was completed in 1608. This painting, considered one of his finest works, showcases his innovative use of chiaroscuro and his ability to convey intense emotion. The painting's dramatic lighting, vivid colors, and sense of urgency reflect Caravaggio's own turbulent life. On July 14, 1608, Wignacourt knighted Caravaggio, comparing him to Apelles, the greatest painter of ancient times. This honor came with a gold chain, and, according to Giovanni Bellori, Wignacourt made him a gift of 2 slaves. This gesture, while seemingly generous, highlights the complex and often brutal nature of the knight's rule in Malta. Beneath the surface of Caravaggio's Malta interlude lies a darker reality. The Knights of St. John were known for their brutal treatment of slaves, many of whom were Muslim prisoners of war. The island's economy thrived on the slave trade, and Caravaggio's own experience was likely marked by encounters with enslaved people. Caravaggio's Malta interlude was short-lived. In late August 1608, he was implicated in a violent fracas, and Wignacourt had him imprisoned at Castel Sant'Angelo. Caravaggio escaped by lowering himself from the fort with a rope and fled to Sicily, leaving behind the relative stability of Malta. Caravaggio's time in Malta was marked by both creative triumph and personal turmoil. His experiences on the island influenced his art, imbuing it with a sense of urgency and intensity. The Beheading of St. John the Baptist remains a testament to his innovative style and his ability to convey the complexities of human emotion. Caravaggio as he returns to Naples in the late summer of 1609. After a tumultuous 9 months in Sicily, Caravaggio is forced to flee once again, this time due to the pursuit of his enemies. According to his earliest biographer, Caravaggio was being pursued by enemies while in Sicily and felt it safest to place himself under the protection of the Colonnas until he could secure his pardon from the Pope, now Paul V, and return to Rome. During his time in Naples, Caravaggio's style continued to evolve, reflecting the turmoil and desperation of his own life. His brushwork became freer and more impressionistic, as seen in his final paintings, such as The Denial of St. Peter and The Martyrdom of St. Ursula. These works showcase Caravaggio's ability to capture the drama and emotion of a scene, as well as his innovative use of chiaroscuro. Caravaggio's primary goal during his return to Naples was to secure a pardon from the Pope, which would allow him to return to Rome and resume his artistic career. To achieve this, he turned to his patron, Cardinal Scipione Borghese, who had the power to grant or withhold pardons. Caravaggio hoped that Borghese could mediate a pardon in exchange for works by the artist. News from Rome encouraged Caravaggio, and in the summer of 1610, he took a boat northwards to receive the pardon, which seemed imminent thanks to his powerful Roman friends. With him were 3 last paintings, the gifts for Cardinal Scipione. However, what happened next is shrouded in mystery. Caravaggio died on July 18, 1610, at the age of 38, in Porto Ercole, near Grosseto in Tuscany. The exact circumstances of his death remain unclear, with various theories suggesting that he died of fever, syphilis, malaria, or even lead poisoning. Despite his tumultuous life and tragic death, Caravaggio's artistic legacy continued to inspire generations of artists. His innovative use of chiaroscuro, dramatic lighting, and emotional intensity influenced many Baroque artists, including Orazio Gentileschi, Giovanni Baglione, and Carlo Saraceni. Today, Caravaggio's works remain some of the most celebrated and iconic in the history of art, a testament to his enduring genius and artistic vision. We find ourselves in Naples, where the artist spent the final years of his life. After fleeing Rome in 1606, Caravaggio sought refuge in the territories of the Colonna, in the Alban Hills above the city. During this time, he painted some of his most remarkable works, including the Supper at Emmaus and David with the Head of Goliath. In Naples, Caravaggio's style continued to evolve, reflecting the turmoil and desperation of his own life. His brushwork became freer and more impressionistic, as seen in his final paintings, such as The Denial of St. Peter and The Martyrdom of St. Ursula. These works showcase Caravaggio's ability to capture the drama and emotion of a scene, as well as his innovative use of chiaroscuro. Despite his artistic success, Caravaggio's personal life remained tumultuous. He was constantly in fear of being recognized and killed on the street, and his relationships with those around him were marked by tension and uncertainty. In an effort to secure a pardon from the Pope, Caravaggio turned to his patron, Cardinal Scipione Borghese, who had the power to grant or withhold pardons. In the summer of 1610, Caravaggio set off for Rome, hoping to finally receive his pardon. However, his journey was cut short when he was arrested and detained at Palo, a staging post on the way to Rome. His paintings were carried away on the felucca, which traveled on to Porto Ercole, a small harbor town on the coast of Tuscany. Caravaggio paid his way out of jail and rode post to Porto Ercole, but the effort, heat, and his parlous state of health were against him. He made it to Porto Ercole, but died soon after arriving, probably on July 18th or 19th, at the age of 38. Caravaggio's work has been widely influential in late 20th century American gay culture, with frequent references to male sexual imagery in paintings such as The Musicians and Amor Victorious. British filmmaker Derek Jarman made a critically acclaimed biopic entitled Caravaggio in 1986, and several poems written by Tom Gunn were responses to specific Caravaggio paintings. In 2013, a touring Caravaggio exhibition called Burst of Light, Caravaggio and His Legacy opened in the Wadsworth Atheneum Museum of Art in Hartford, Connecticut. The exhibition showcased Caravaggio's innovative use of light and shadow, as well as his influence on later artists. By examining these key takeaways, we gain a deeper understanding of Caravaggio's life, art, and legacy, and appreciate the complexity and nuance of this fascinating figure. Caravaggio's artistic style was characterized by a dramatic use of chiaroscuro and a strong sense of realism. His life was marked by controversy and conflict, including a famous duel that led to his exile from Rome. Despite his tumultuous life, Caravaggio's artistic legacy is undeniable, and he had a profound influence on the development of Baroque art. His paintings continue to evoke strong emotions and are considered some of the most powerful and moving works of art in history. Caravaggio's association with the Knights of Malta, a prominent religious and chivalric order of the time, adds another layer of complexity to his life and art. His involvement in a love triangle with the prostitute Filide Melandroni and her presumed lover or pimp, Ranuccio Tomassoni, led to a duel that resulted in Tomassoni's death. Caravaggio's time in Naples and Malta was marked by continued artistic innovation and a deepening sense of spirituality, as reflected in his later works.